Go. Okay, everybody, welcome. I am so glad to be spending this time with you. It's been way too long. There's, as you've probably had the experience yourself as well, been many, many changes in the world since we spoke last. And for me too, my personal work got me into a different direction, and then about a month ago, my heart started opening up, and it felt time to get together again and do this call. Um, as I just mentioned, I have a lot of charts. I have a lot of questions that we're going to delve into in just a moment. So here's what we're going to be talking about today. I want to do a very brief check-in and just do a quick overview of human design. Most of you have an idea or know at least a little bit about your chart, but occasionally there are new people. So I want to just give the basics. I want to start with that, and then we'll get into looking at your chart, and where appropriate, we'll do some coaching around it. And as I mentioned, for the people who are not live on the call, we're actually going to go past your chart today. And instead, what we're going to do is, or what I will do is, I will send it out in an email message to everybody so that everybody can still learn from each other's chart. And at the same time, you will still get, that burning question answered. So I know from personal experience that the most difficult thing in life is when you don't know your next step forward. So that's my focus in helping you kind of opening up to at least that next step. Even if you don't know the rest of the future yet, just that next step can often get you further. Okay. And feel free in the meantime to chat. I'll be happy to answer questions via chat as well. And here we go. So what I want to do first is ask you to just go in for a moment and just check in with yourself. Where in my life am I pushing too hard? Where in my life am I shooting too much? And what I'd like you to do is I would like you to really assess this for yourself and maybe be aware to the amount of pressure that you put upon yourself, and just jot down a couple of notes, because one of the things that I've noticed in today's questions, but also in working with all my clients, is that we are putting so much pressure on ourselves in order to feel of value. And the crazy thing is that you, if you are listening to this call, if you're here on the call with me, you're the kind of person whose value is often not going to be as easily compared to the material value that we as a society have put a lot of worth on, a lot of value on. Your value comes from your inner process. Your value comes from showing up in the world. And that's how you express your value, not by, you know, how much you do, how much money you make, et cetera, what you own. All of that is no longer part of our dimension. We have shifted, and we are slowly catching up, maybe not so slowly. And we are catching up maybe with a little bit of a jolt here and there to really be more of that. So what I'm going to invite you today is, as we're going through these questions, to think about, where do you put a lot of pressure on yourself? Where do you should, and how you can add more ease? Because right now we are actually supported by the universe to be more in a space of being, be more in a space of receptivity, Right now we're in the second gate. The sun is in the second gate. It's the gate of receptivity. It's the internal being aligned with your path, your purpose. And even though you may have your questions here, in here, it's there. You just have to drop in and trust. So ease and trust as we're going through these questions today. Keep that in mind. So very brief overview of human design is, as you see here, this beautiful picture. It's the moment of birth where all the stars were aligned in just this particular way. Now, human design is a synthesis of a number of different wisdom systems. And what we see is the zodiac signs. You're probably aware with those zodiac signs that you're a Leo or you're a Pisces. That's just a small part of the picture. We also add the hexagrams of the I Ching. So that information, plus the astrological information, plus the centers from the chakra wisdom, which originally there were 7 centers in human design. We say we have evolved, our being has evolved to a 9-centered chakra being. All these different components have value. In addition to that, there's also where you can see the connections between the centers. It comes from the Kabbalah. And then there is a resonance with DNA and our genetic material. All of these together create this beautiful picture that is you. And I'm not sure why my slide does not want to continue. Okay, so in this case, here we see the chart of Susie. And Susie was just curious to hear something about her chart. So we're going to delve into that for just a little bit. So as you see here, you have this beautiful chart. It's still the same figure that was in that circle, but now the numbers, instead of being all around and the planets are on either side. The numbers on the right in black are what we call personality. It's the information that is it's conscious to you. It's what you're more familiar with. On the left-hand side is a calculation done about 3 months before birth. This is the information that at that time came in to basically give you that unconscious information. Sometimes we joke about, gosh, your human design, if you know your human design, it takes away 7 years of therapy because you get to know under the hood. You get to get a deep look at all those different components that make you you. So Susie, the first thing that I look at when I look at a chart is I look at what is colored in, what is not colored in. And by the way, if you have things colored in or not, there is nothing wrong with your chart. There are people that have everything white. There are people that have everything colored in. It doesn't make you a better or worse person, okay? What it does tell me, where in this life the areas that you can rely on in this lifetime, and how your energy runs in general. And it also tells me where in this lifetime are those areas for you to learn. So, by the way, for the human design aficionados who want to play a little bit, if you want to put in the chat the particular type that you know this person has, feel free to do so. In human design, we have 5 different types, and the type actually shows you how your aura works, how opportunities come to you. Excellent. And it also shows you how you best make decisions. So in the chat, it is being mentioned correctly that your type is what we call a generator. Now, a generator has an aura that's really warm and open and enveloping. And what that does is it brings in opportunities. So the deal with a generator is not the fact that you don't have anything to do or to choose from. Your challenge is that you get overwhelmed because you have so much to choose from. Yeah. So there is a potential to just invite so many things in, and your way of figuring out what is correct for you is through your type. So the generator right here If you have this red square, by the way, can you all see my mouse? Fingers up or thumbs up? Excellent, thank you. Okay, so this red square is what we call the sacral center. When you have it defined, you're either a generator or a manifesting generator. In this case, you're a generator. We'll get to a manifesting generator later, so I'll show what that means. When you're a generator, again, those opportunities are coming to you, and this sacral center will tell you whether it's a uh-huh or a uh-uh. Sometimes it feels like you're moving towards something when your energy is right and available for it. And sometimes it feels, it's not right, it's not available. If you don't feel anything, if you have this sense of anxiety in your stomach, it's simply not the right time for you to make that decision. For you, however, the true decision comes through this center on the right-hand side. This little brown triangle is called the solar plexus. This is an emotional center. Basically, people would say of you that you're an emotional kind of person. Some people might call you even a little dramatic because your emotions are always going up and down, right? They're always in flux, which is perfect for you. However, rule of thumb with an emotionally defined person is never make decisions whether you're like really super excited on the high end of your wave or when you're on the other side, when you're feeling really down. Those are not the right times to make decisions. Your emotions are here to give you information about what it is that you want to make a decision around. Your emotions carry a lot of wisdom. So as you're going through your emotions, you will come up with different questions to ask so that the information will become clear. Once you get to a place where you're about 80% clear, as an emotional being, it's very hard to get like 100%. This is exactly what I'm going to do. But on a regular basis, you will get to a place that is about 80%. Yeah, I think that this is right for me. That is the right time for you to make a decision. Okay. On top of that, one thing that I want to point out to you is that there is a tendency, look at how wonderfully defined your head and mind are. There's this beautiful connection right here. Okay, I have no idea why my mouse keeps doing that. There we go. Okay. Between the head and the mind, this connection is one that has tremendous potential for spiritual truth, deep insights that will keep dropping in for you. The thing is that most of those insights are actually not for you. They're actually meant for the other person that you're speaking with. So you have this ability to really give a lot of insight to other people. As you're doing this, though, be aware that your mind has a tendency to want to think your way through life. Again, that's not where your truth lies. You have an inner connection up to the universe that guides you, and you have this inner sense of that emotional wisdom that is ultimately your guide in your life. All right, so I know, little tidbit about your chart. Let's move on to Micah. So Micah, are you on the call today? Let's see. It's too bad. Okay. All right. Micah, I will email in one of the future emails to everybody, I will give a little bit of an answer on your question. Good luck in the meantime. Okay, Starlight. So I know Starlight is here. Hello, good to see you. So Starlight says, my new roommate and I get along really well. And I just want some advice on things that I need to look out for, positive aspects to maximize on to be able to keep a good relationship. You know, we're very close in the space that we have. I feel emotions, and when you're feeling their emotions, how long does that effect last? Great questions. So here we see the two charts. The top chart is actually the chart of roommate J, and the bottom chart is Starlight. So first, I want to just take a very brief moment to look at your individual charts and then go into a combined chart because that will give us a lot of information. So at the bottom right, Starlight, we notice that you have three centers defined all at the bottom left. Bottom left, there is a lot of power that goes from that bottom root center, pushing up into the spleen center on the left-hand side. So this is really wanting to push a lot of energy into a sense of health and well-being, right? Being healthy in life. On top of that, as a type, you're that generator that we just talked about. So you're that person who brings in different opportunities um, through your field, through your aura, and the way that your gut response will let you know whether or not it's right for you to engage with. Now, on the top area, here we have your roommate, Jay. And as you can see, her chart looks very different, right? She also has three centers, but her energy moves from this way, from the two triangles on either side, the spleen and the emotional center, up to the throat where it expresses itself. So this is a powerful person expressing themselves. This is what we call a manifester. Okay. Manifesting ability because it connects directly to the throat where it can express itself. Very different energy. Now, when we see someone who has in her chart that bottom center completely open, it means that this is a person who is not here to deal with stress. Okay, this is a person who wants to do their own thing, who wants to catalyze and is making changes in the world, but coming from a space of wanting peace and wanting to be able to go their own way. Not from a place of this is what should be done, this is how society tells me I should be living my life. It's really, they are here to really follow their own path. So when you're having this completely open root system, and I'm drawn to it because I have it completely open as well. And as you can see, there's quite a number of activations. So it's rather unusual to have it completely white. It really means that there is a potential for this person to feel a lot of push, a lot of stress, and therefore feel pushed through life. Like, oh, got to do this. I got to have my list. I'm never feeling like you're doing enough. And when this person gets out of alignment, that inner sense of freedom and peace, that is their top value in life. When they're getting out of alignment, you'll hear it. That emotional center going up to the throat will communicate that. Yeah. As well as that little center on the left-hand side, the spleen center, that's an instant, in the moment, intuitive wisdom that comes out directly to the throat. So you'll hear it if this person is not in their happy place. Yeah. So let's take a look at the two of you together. Now we have a different chart. Jay on the right, Starlight on the left. You can see how many centers are colored in together, and then you can see the areas that are open. Now, the centers that are colored in, those are being colored in by either one or the combination of the two of you. The center at the top, those are the areas that are, the open centers, undefined centers, are the areas where the two of you can find yourself being drawn to. It's like the areas of growth, the areas of wisdom in this lifetime. So one fun thing to look for is, where do you connect? Where do you hook up? Now, the areas where you hook up on the left-hand side, you see those, there's a whole bunch of channels right there that are connected, right? Because we see this channel right here. This is the channel of talent. So together, you can come up with some talent to develop. which could be, let's learn how to bake bread together. And every week you do another, you do your next try, and together you get a chance to develop that. That's just a silly example. Right next to that, here, this is an interesting one because here is Starlight, you're bringing in the 10th gate, but it connects up to the 20th gate as one channel. It also connects down here to create another channel. Yeah. So there's ways in how you click together that bring in higher principles. So there is a potential to really support each other to live from your highest principle or not, because all these channels where they connect like that, those are channels where either the sparks fly or not. Yeah, in a positive way or in a negative way. There's also this support for each other in living healthfully and living in an environment that is healthful and good for all the senses. Here is another connection, which is a connection about leadership, where you can support each other in leadership. And then here is a connection that helps the keeper of the key, the beat. It's a transformational channel that can bring in a lot of potential for empowerment and empowerment in bringing in prosperity, bringing in vision for the plan, like where as a household are we going? So those are some areas to play with. Starlight, for you, just to be aware, is that both of you have this 51st gate. Now it's a free, we call it a friendship gate because you both have it half colored in. The 51st gate, though, is the gate of shock. There is a potential to deliver shocking information to each other. So be aware of that, that together you don't necessarily fill this in because the center is undefined, but when there is the right transit, or when there is someone else in your environment that all of a sudden will change the whole dynamic, and then this might come out. Huh? All right. Okay. So there's lots more, but I hope that this was helpful. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say thank you. And actually, it's kind of interesting because our new roommate is going to fill in the other side of that. So that's going to be interesting. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. That's actually great to bring up because the moment that you bring 3 people or more together, all of a sudden, it becomes a whole different dynamic. All of a sudden, you are being pulled into a group dynamic, which no longer has space for the individual. So this is why sometimes in a group, you can say, wow, I feel so different. I feel like there is no space to be me, which is true. You're no longer allowed to be you. Yeah. So just to be aware of that. Okay. So Barbara, Barbara on the call? No. All right, Barbara, for you too, I will send out an email in one of the upcoming newsletters with just a little dive into your design. Here we have Sylvia. Sylvia, yes, you're here. How are you? Are you still in Peru? Yes? Great. I'm glad you're here to join us.
Yeah, yeah, still in Peru.
All right. Well, I hope you're doing well because I hear how the situation is there. So I hope you're doing well. Okay. So Sylvia spent a lot of time alone. Very few relationships which were not lasting and ended rather abruptly. Even outside of romantic relationships, there seems to be the fact that you meet people from a different angle, more of a shadow side. Um, so that is really interesting to me, and I'm going to make a little movement in my. Okay, I hope this doesn't bother everybody, but I want to point some things out to you. So first of all, when I look at your design as a type, we know that you are a projector, and as a projector in general, there is this potential to have people project things onto you, right? They may think that you are different than you truly are. And the first thing that I want to bring up around that is that how people project onto you is not your responsibility. What is your responsibility is that you are as much aligned with you, following your design as much as you can. Because when the projector does that, your aura has this beautiful frequency. And this beautiful frequency is only caught by the right people. Yeah. So if other people come up to you that for some reason are thinking that you are one way and you know that that's really not who you are, then just thank them, but they're just not the right people for you. The invitations that will come from that environment is not right for you. Right? That's one thing. The other thing is that you have this undefined self-center. Now, the undefined self-center is this center, the self-center has to do with purpose, it has to do with place, and it has to do with bringing in the right opportunities that are really aligning you with your path. And when you have it undefined, the people that you meet see themselves in you. Yeah. And when they see themselves in you, when they are not aligned with themselves, that's also what they get back. Yeah. So we tend to say with human design, and you have an undefined center, you want to make sure that the environment that you find yourself is an environment that is beautiful to your senses. And then the people that are around you are the right people to provide the right kind of invitations to you. Still doesn't mean that they're always the right invitations, but there is more of a potential because you can show up in the right way. So environment is key. Yeah. Um, and I know that you told me that you moved to an area that you had wanted to create as a retreat center. So I can only imagine how beautiful it must be. So that's a really good place to be. So, and even if you're meeting people online from that environment, and if that online environment feels right for you, then that is still a right environment for you to meet the right people. Now, your key always comes from this emotional center. Yeah. So that again will let you know whether or not to engage with those people. Now, there's a couple of things, a couple other things that I want to mention to you. So when you wrote this and I looked at your design, the first thing. I'm trying to get back. There we go. There we go. Don't move. Okay, the first thing that my eye goes to is your profile. You have a 4-6 profile. People who have a 4 in their profile, they are people that are heart-based, deeply in their heart, which can be really painful when you're around people that don't see you, don't recognize you, or are not the right people in the relationship with. And so the tendency is to do this. Yeah, to close your heart. So you always actively, constantly, actively want to focus on opening your heart and keep trusting, keep trusting. That's your big game in life. Yeah. The other thing that comes up is I looked at your 59th gate. When we look at this center here, the sacral center, we see the 59th gate here. This is the gate of intimacy. You have it twice. It's here in your Uranus, which is the unusual one, right? This gives us unusual wisdom. So the 59th gate is activated by the second line and the sixth line. The second line is this internal shyness. So there's an internal shyness within your intimate connections. And when I'm talking about intimacy, I'm not talking just about sex, right? I'm talking about the whole opening up and connecting deeply with people. The 59th gate with the sixth line is one who is really, truly discerning. And when you have a 6th line in the 59th gate, it means that a relationship can be right now, but it can also be no longer right, out of alignment, the next moment or the next year or the next decade. There is an internal discernment that really helps you determine if this person is the right person for you. There is no time limit or a time line on that. Yeah. And the other thing, what really draws people in though, is that you have this connection between the 37 and the 40, which is this channel of the community. It's also a channel of family. So it brings in people who want to be around you. Again, when you're aligned, when you're invited so that you can bring your projector energy to really look deep into them, then you're in a beautiful place that invites people to feel like family with you. Does any of that make sense?
Sorry, just unmuting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, and that actually the 3740 always puzzle me because I have a desire, as you said, from the heart, having community, and I always feel not out of place
Mm.
wherever I am, And now I'm thinking, it got worse actually here in Peru. But I don't know if it's just because it's coming on the surface. This pattern is very true what you're saying about the intimacy, the desire of intimacy, and it's also true that it can change very quickly. I can go very deeply with someone in one moment and then boom, it's gone. So seems that I'm unable to have those type of friendship, but that's been all my life, this type of friendship that they last. I can meet people going very deep and then they disappear. We don't have any connection. It's not for, not for good or bad. Yeah, I know that's also having the, I don't know if it's coming from the heart defined. I'm aware of something that people mirrors in me. And normally if they have a lower vibration or a lower awareness, is horrible, really horrible. I'm aware of my undefined center, so I end up experiencing life most of the time things that I wouldn't experience on my own because I almost merge with other people. And I always have point of connection, no matter where they are. They could be the worst people on the planet, or they could be a saint. There is always a resonance to the point that, obviously being the center undefined is sometimes like, who am I? It seems that I am through what I experience with other people. So I know that I have to be very careful in choosing the environment and the right people, but seems like in the last relationship I had, I might have made a massive mistake because it was another projector. So all our centers were almost like completing the whole thing, excluding obviously the second center because obviously both projector. And it's been a person who has been energetically attacking me. It's been probably the worst relationship I ever had. And it felt so good at the beginning. So I'm like, yeah, it's weird. It's just a weird aspect of my life.
Yeah. I want to go back to what we started the call with around the should, because should means that there is an expectation in how things should be, right? They should show up in a particular way. And for you, it's right in how you are. And it may not be the easiest way. You know, knowing your design and living your design doesn't mean that everything is just like phew, smooth sailing, right? But it does mean that there is more flow, there is more awareness, and there is more the ability to bring your gift into the world. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I know even through the worst experiences, I have a massive growth. But as you said, I'm getting really hurt in my heart really deeply. So then my heart closed. And then, maybe 3 months of relationship going very deep, and then take me a year, 1 year and a half to recover
Yeah.
from my heart. Yeah, that's
So
painful.
one other thing that I really want to mention um, with that particular circuitry that you have, so you have, seeing if my mouse wants to cooperate. You have all of this circuitry going from the root up to the emotional center, to the heart center, to the spleen. All of this is what we call tribal circuitry. When you have tribal circuitry, it has to do with agreements. And your heart closes when agreements are not being met. There's a really strong sense of loyalty, and so the feeling of like, wow, why are you not, I put this much in, why are you not reciprocating? Very often though, that comes from um, uncommunicated expectations. So you may not even aware that you have particular expectations, you just notice that things are off. Yeah. And that's then the moment to start engaging and renegotiating, because you may have created an agreement or a bargain where it is like, okay, I cook, pick up your socks at whatever, because that is how I show I care, which is part of that tribal, I'm taking care of you. But if that other person is not reciprocating in the way that you thought you had agreed on, that's where your heart gets hurt, and it does out. Now there is a wall, and it's really hard to break that wall down. So before that happens, it's really good to renegotiate. Okay, I will do XYZ for you, but what can offer to help balance that? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely have been more aware of that aspect, not necessarily words when I go into renegotiation, or be more expressive about my need and my agreement. And it's true, I'm very loyal. And then sometimes people, they just look, they walk
Yeah.
away. So, but yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's very
You're
helpful.
welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, Susan, are you here? Let's see. No. Okay. Let's move on. Anne. You are here, right? Yes, you are. Hello. Okay. I've been through a challenging relationship and questioning to open myself for another relationship experience. I put these two together, your and Sylvia's, because both of you have that 59-6. So a lot of what I just expressed actually also applies to you. Now, in your case, you actually do have, you're a generator, so you do have the center very, very well defined, very well defined. So as a generator, again, what we talked about earlier, you're bringing in all these different opportunities, and it's that gut response that lets you know whether or not you're right, whether or not it is right for you to engage with. It's a quick process for you. You have that internal quick knowing whether or not you're aligned with it. It connects directly into your center of the self. And it's all about, this is the power into the self-love, the power to love yourself, and the power to love yourself despite what anybody else says, despite what anybody else thinks in how you should be living your life. Yeah.
Yes.
So with that 56th gate, when you have that internal discernment that's just really, um, it's really precise. You know, you can be in a real deep connection with someone, and then all of a sudden it turns off. And that's right for you.
And so that's at the point where I've really connected and understood really at a soul kind of level. All of a sudden, I just know this is off. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not to doubt that.
Exactly. So there is a potential with that beautiful mind of yours to want to find solutions, right? The fourth gate is all about finding solutions, logical, rational solutions, really good at that. It can get in the way of listening to that gut. So even though you have that really strong knowing, oh, but they're such wonderful people, and that may be true, but it may just be done.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And to go into your business, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
expanding your new business. You have so much to give because that same solutions gate is able to really explain all those amazing ideas that you have
Mhm,
that have come from all these different things that you've studied
mhm,
to be able to give other people an expression of how they can live their own life. And again, you are a role model in how you live your life besides what society says. Many people are afraid of that,
mhm,
and you know there's nothing to be afraid of. So this 50th gate that you have over here in this undefined center, when you have this center, the spleen center undefined,
mhm.
there's nothing for you to be afraid of.
Okay.
Now, there is a potential to want to stay too long in relationships, in work that's no longer serving you. So there's always this internal check in with your gut. Is this still right for me?
Mm, mhm.
Yeah. But it does help you to recognize where other people are in their lives. It helps you to recognize where other people are in terms of how they are aligned with their values, how they live their values, and what internally needs to change. And then the way for you to develop your business, you're a role model. You have this 36th gate as well.
Mhm.
30, or sorry, 31st gate. This is the gate of influence. This is the gate of the speaker.
Mm,
So find opportunities where you can be that role model. Find opportunities where you can be invited to speak.
mhm.
Because when you speak about the wisdoms that you have to share, people will listen.
Wonderful. Mhm.
Yeah.
As we've been talking this morning with the other charts, now I'm looking at mine and seeing that heart center white. So
Yes.
is that a particular challenge for me now?
That's a problem. No, I'm kidding. No. So when you have the heart center undefined, it
Yep.
basically, this is the center of willpower and discipline. So you may find yourself, you know, signing up for a course or saying, this is what I'm going to do this week. And somehow it all goes out the window because it's just not how you're designed, right?
Okay,
But
that's good to know because I do that
but
all the time.
yes, exactly. And that doesn't surprise me. Now, you can use this to find people who have that center defined so that at that moment you can tap into their willpower, and
Mm,
that can be nice. But
yeah,
it's not up to you to make promises, right? So you cannot promise your clients, this is what you're going to get from our work together.
right.
You can promise yourself, I'm going to give you the best value as I that I can,
Yeah.
and I'm going to give you an example in how you can be, but you know, your mileage may vary. It's going to be up to you.
Mhm.
I'm going to be able to give you the tools, but it's going to be up to you. Now, what is really cool in here is that you have both the 26th gate and the 51st gate. So when people are activating this for you, or when it's activated by a transit, right? A planet can also activate it.
Okay.
The 26th gate allows you to speak to many people. It allows you to make your message, tailor your message to the right people
Okay.
in the right way so that it resonates. The 51st gate is the gate of shock. So sometimes you will find yourself say things that can be rude, can be shocking to people.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah. And if that comes from your inner gut, then it's the right thing that needs to be heard by people.
Mhm.
Yeah. Cool. And of course, there's much more, but does this help you?
Yes, thanks very much. It's great insight.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. All right, so Samantha. Samantha is not here. Nope, Samantha is not here. And I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Reisik. You're not here either. So one of these emails, I will send out a little very brief video about just some information about your chart. But look what a fascinating chart, completely different, right, than other charts that we've seen. Hey, Erica, you here? Yes. Hi, Erica. Hi, good to see you. So first of all, Erica, I'm sorry to hear about your mom. Um, that's really hard. I know it's been a really long, hard road for you with that. And you write that your mother passed away, and somehow your stepfather inherited everything, and you didn't get anything, not even a photo. And did you want to share something?
Cute. I did get I did get an inheritance, but he took everything in the household. So personal photos, that type of thing, would not share with us.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
very
Wow.
painful. So I had no goodbye, no closure.
Yeah. 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 I can understand that. So, so any direction, which I'm sorry, when I look at your chart and you're asking me about direction, I just have to laugh because when we look at direction, we tend to look at this particular center. And we know that this particular center is the center of the self. And in your case, it's completely undefined. So what that means is that you're here to be a leaf in the wind, wherever the wind takes you. Okay. Now, what you can rely on is your gut response. Yeah. So first of all, you want to bring yourself into an environment that is beautiful and nurturing to your senses. So that, again, the people that are around you can present you with the right opportunities. So if you're tapping into that inner wisdom that you have, that inner gut response, has it been giving you some like little messages to respond to, where to go?
I meditate every morning. I I still I'm you asked the question, how are you putting pressure on yourself? I guess I'm putting the pressure on myself to get on with my life, even though I can't close this part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's this interesting this interesting way that we look at grief in our society, and that is like, okay, you have about until this time to deal with it, and then you should get on with it. And that's just not how it works. That's just not how it works. And so my question or my suggestion for you is to meditate is great. And what else can you do that gives ease to your being?
Gives what to my being?
Ease, gentleness. Do you like
Okay.
to swim? Do you like to walk and be in nature?
Yeah, I do all those things. Yes, I do. I do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What could be very helpful for you is to be around other people, and not necessarily people that have a big agenda for you, that tell you like, are you still dealing with this? Because again, those are not the right people. Um, but people that can provide a warm space for you so that you have this time to go inward. One thing to know with this channel, this is the channel of being busy, right? And at the same time, this is also a very individualistic channel. When you're on the downside of it, it turns inward. It's the time when the muse is coming out. So meditation is great, but paint, write, journal, poetry, anything that can really allow you to go inward and to allow that muse. It's a highly creative space for you right now. And creativity doesn't have a box, right? You can't say, okay, I'm going to be creative from then to then, or I'm going to be creative just in this little bit. You're going to have to do a free fall and let go and see what emerges. But only do that when it feels good, when you have that gut response. Does any of this make sense?
Mhm.
Sort of? Yeah. Anything else that you want to add to this?
Well, I just don't know what to do.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you won't. This is the mind trying to figure it out. I'm going to ask you to have everybody ask you yes or no questions. Just
Okay.
write a whole list of things that in some universe you might like to do. And then ask or have someone ask you, do you want to go take a walk right now? Do you want to sit and journal right now? Do you want to focus on creating a workshop right now? Yeah, just all kinds of potential things. Your gut will tell you with what it's right to move into. It's about letting your energy start to flow again and allowing that creativity to move you. Don't get that from here.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, good luck. My heart's with you. Okay, Brooke. All right, and I think we're getting close to being done. So Brooke, all right, creating time for the personal me. Not able to cope as I used to. I feel out of sync with what's going on. And it would have been up to me, I would have made some changes a few years ago. But what is the current solution? So look at this beautiful chart. Very different again from other charts that we have seen, right? This is what I love about human design, is that everybody's chart is so different. It's fascinating. So in this beautiful chart, you can see how the mind is connected all the way to here, the root. You can see it move all the way up. It's fascinating. It's all connected. So Brooke, you're someone who is quick, who is busy, who wants to be busy, and who is always thinking and putting things in motion, right? You're that manifesting generator that we talked about earlier that wants to be able to respond to something and then 3 steps ahead suddenly realizes, but wait, do I actually have the skills, resources, whatever? Is this really the right thing? There's just always this kind of running ahead of yourself and then recognizing, I might have waited and it might have been might have turned out a little differently. So being this manifesting generator who is super busy all the time, it's really important that you allow yourself the space to connect with your feelings. When you feel out of sync, it's because you are. And when you feel that you would have made some changes, it is telling you that most likely you should have. And this is a case where I'm using the should that's more aligned with you versus the should of what society would say. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I know that you're kind of the linchpin, if that's an okay word to use, for your whole environment, right? You're making everything move for everybody. What I always find interesting is when I look at a design and you can actually see where you're being called out into things that may not be correct for you. And in this case, here we see this 27th gate, which is not colored in. And the 27th gate is the gate of nourishing. It's the caretaker. Yeah. You're here not to take care of people. You're here to show where people are out of alignment and to definitely be busy with getting your voice out into the world and creating transformation for people that way. But you're not here to do everything for everybody else, which is a hard thing for you to do. And when you are not listening to yourself, you will find yourself being in places. I'm looking at this 4629, where you're committing to things, but that make you trip up, gets you out of your flow. Does that make sense? Do you want to say something? Shall I unmute you?
Am I unmuted?
You are, yes.
Okay, can I give you a quick example of how
Yes.
this is so difficult?
Yeah.
I think I did in my letter, but I set it up for myself so I had a certain 3 hours, no dogs, no people, no nothing except Bob, who's here. Within 2 seconds of having that beginning of the 3 hours, he said, "Can you take me to the ER?" Well, I can't say no, I need my personal time. So
True.
the question behind that for me is, why am I creating that? I know I can say no very easily. And I had to once recently in a similar situation, but there was somebody else to take him. But why am I creating that continuously when I know that's the game? You know, I know I need to say me first sometimes.
Yeah. And there might be some two answers. So there might be some part of you that really wants to be that for everybody and that gets a lot out of being that for everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Done.
And then it is about when is the right moment to take time for yourself. You know, obviously, if someone really needs to go to the hospital, then okay. And then when they are at the hospital, now you're taking time for yourself.
Mm.
No.
No, I'm with them in the hospital, and it's that environment that I don't like. So it's I'm there for them. I'm certainly not hanging out for me. But it was
Right.
3 hours later, I'm back. We're back at home, just
Yeah.
when the dogs get back. That 3 hour window had gone, you know. And I do have to
Right.
take care of the dogs. I mean, I do have a child in that way, and until she's
Sure.
gone, I have to take care of her, you know.
Yeah. 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 No, I understand that. And within that, there might be other times. So in other words, even if the planned time that you had set
Right.
aside for you is not working, there might be other opportunities to find that time. And maybe it's not a 3 hour window, maybe they're shorter. In other words, there's a thinking of this is how it should be.
Mm.
And then there is an internal alignment with, but wait, this is how it can be.
At 4 in the morning, I can create that, but that's about it. Yeah,
That does not sound pleasurable.
no.
Yeah, yeah. So my question then again to you is, where can you find more ease? Where can you so I actually want to address something, because there is a judgment. I'm hearing a judgment, and you can tell me if that's correct. That I'm hearing a judgment about, I am doing something wrong. If I only got this part clear, then I would not have created this for me. And the universe is much bigger than you.
Mhm.
And maybe the universe is just showing you that whatever you're thinking in how it is can be broadened to allow more for it to show up and for you to flow with it. And again, your gut response and your emotional wisdom will tell you versus your mind. And you're smart. I mean, you're smart,
Mm.
but it's your emotional wisdom ultimately that will help you find that space. So delve into the feeling of it.
Mm.
Does
Well,
that
I have that overall commitment to stay here for as long as Bob lives. And it was my choice to stay here when he said he wanted to stay here and not leave. And so unless I change that commitment, I don't see how I can change this unless I, go away for 3 days or go away for a week, which I'm not seeing how that's fitting in right now. There's just too much going on,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then the bigger question is, what about that commitment?
Right. And this
Does
is
it-
not a time,
Yeah.
this is not a time to leave when he's in the most need. So
Right.
for me,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
helpful.
Right. No, I get that. Yes.
Mm.
So my invitation to you is to, as you're going through this and you know that this is going to be a specific amount of time that is not foreseeable, right? Because you're there for him. To keep checking in with yourself and really just listening to your emotions, because your emotions will give you your wisdom and will give you your knowing much more than your mind will. And there is this amazing tendency for you to want to figure out why certain things are happening or have happened. And actually, in your life, this is not as helpful for you as it is for you to help other people with. So when you're finding yourself going into that process, say, thank you so much. I'm going to put this on hold until I get paid for it by someone else. And in the meantime, I'm going to delve into my feelings and just really be with them. And there's a lot of creativity for you in that as well.
I do.
Yeah, nice. Nice. Okay. Okay. Hope this was somewhat helpful.
Thank you.
All right. All right, everybody. We have come to or past the hour. So it's been so lovely being with you. I will send out this recording, and as promised, there's some other charts that I have that I will be sending out little brief recordings, and you can just delve into them that way. Thanks again for joining me. It's great seeing you, and I look forward to being with all of you again soon.